stell mal her. Das ist ja noch ein grünen.
Okay, so here we are. Hey guys, whoever is watching.
Hello.
This is Nini. She's my partner in crime in many things. Most of all, also like in the sense of talking, everyday life. We support each other in a great many things. And so she agreed to be my guinea pig today, and also like talk partner, where we talk about the situation that for many people is huge difficulty when they have goals and they have their habits influencing all their routines and practices toward their goals. So I asked Nini to be here today for me too, in order to have somebody actually talking to, and also I'd like to be a little more in contact to whoever's watching. So whenever you have questions, just write them. This time I actually have my my phone toward me, so I see whenever you guys write something. So here's a little idea, little thoughts to play around with. I have my goal, for instance, in Jiu-Jitsu, which I discovered last summer, is to become a black belt, right? Just in any given time. I don't really have, like, I don't have a specific time frame where I say, like, okay, I want to be a black belt in, say, like, I don't know, like 2 or 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. For me, it's just, that's my story. I want to go there. And so I need to work all my routines and everything around it, so that I at least get some practice in, also in this time now where we are all like stuck at home. So the question is, how can I benefit my goal, and then to understand my habits who are then influencing? For instance, like there's some days where I just don't feel like practicing. Everybody knows that, even if you have the hugest, like the biggest passion toward what you love doing. Yeah, you just have those specific days where you just feel like, God damn, I just don't want to get out of bed at all, you know? So here is the difficulty which I want to talk about today. You have a goal, and then you have your habits and your personal preferences and difficulties who are influencing your journey from here toward your goal. So I'd like to hear from you, for instance. How are you dealing with these kind of little issues? Say, like, what is a specific goal that you'd like to work around, and how are your habits influencing this?
Well, for me, I think one of the biggest goals, or I wouldn't say the biggest goals, but one really big goal I'm having at the moment is to really be able to do the handstand. Like I already came pretty far from my journey, but I'm still not able to just do the handstand and stay on it and be stable. And I know that this is something I really like to do. So it's not something I'm forcing myself to do. It's something I really want to do. But still there are some days where I just don't feel like practicing, either because I'm just too tired, or I'm having a muscle ache from the last training, or I don't know. And I think the one of my difficulties in these situations is so let's say I'm training 3 days in a row, and then I skip my training once, and it's so easy for me to skip my training the second time as well. I also realized this when I'm into jogging again, and I skip one day and then I skip the other day, and it's so hard to get back in.
Right.
And so I think the clue is that you need to find the balance, but not only finding the balance, also keeping the balance.
So balance between what?
Balance between excessive I need to train every day, and on the other hand, like, I need to have a rest as well, or it's okay to take a day of rest.
Okay.
And the body needs the rest.
So here's something that I hear out of. Maybe you guys feel the same. Something that I stumble above like every now and then is the difficulty between structure and flow. So when for instance, I wake up in the morning, I feel like today just got to be that certain day where I just don't do anything, right? I just sleep in bed, I sleep out. Maybe it's a Sunday, maybe yesterday evening it was just a cool party, get together, whatever it was. And today I just don't feel like practicing at all. And so I just throw it all over, and I just feel like, okay, today's not going to happen anything. And so tomorrow would then be that second day you're talking about, right? Mm-hmm. So I would then get up tomorrow morning, and I feel, okay, shit, it's Monday, I'm back into working mode. Here's difficulty. I feel like, shit, I just would love to stay in bed just this day again, right? Yeah. So here's the and I bet like everybody knows that one. Here's the trick with that. So what I understood in my time doing sports of any sorts, and also like understanding my passion. So if I have a passion and I want to get better at this passion because I feel like my practice is benefiting my game in whatever it is, if it's like functional training, parkour, MMA, I don't know, chess, whatever you like. So I need to be practicing in order to be playing better, right? And here is something that that comes to my mind in a sense of difference between structure and root and structure and flow. So you need to have those days where you really feel like let's just not do anything today, right? Let's just be that day where I just rest and just do something randy at any given time. If you do not have a plan for the succeeding day to get back into your structure and also have the discipline to get back into your structure, then the day of flow is for nothing because it robs you of all drive, right? And so that is something that I hear when you're talking about your handstand practice. Maybe you want to back me up on this or tell me a little bit something how you get back on track whenever you had your day off, whenever you had your flow day.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like when I have flow day and then afterwards I have maybe a day where I skip everything because I'm just still don't want to do anything. I realized in my routine I always start with excessive day again, so that I kind of need to do more because I skipped so many days, and then and then I do too much and I feel completely weak the day after.
Okay.
So, and here I'm again with the problem that I can't keep the balance. So I'm either going too much or too less, and
like giving that whole thing like a balancing out kind of manner, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so here's then the question: how can you benefit this kind of vibe? So you're overdoing it. You feel like a day off. You take your day off, and then you kind of you just force yourself into the pit, saying like, okay, I need just to keep on practicing because this goal is so important. And then you overdo it again, and maybe overdo it for 2-3 days because you feel like you just need at least a couple of consecutive days practicing. And then you just like at the stage again where you're just totally fucked up and feel like, okay, I need to have this day off. So my question to you is here, what tool can we use in order to get this kind of up and down, which seems very spontaneous and without any kind of without any kind of real structure over a period, over a short period of time, over the near future? What tools can we use? What do you know of?
You mean like a structure?
For instance, like any kind of routines, any kind of idea of building a habit, maybe planning out more of a time, say like you just fixate, say, a couple of days, or maybe a couple of weeks even, and you give yourself like short-term goals where you just say, okay, like until this day, I'm gonna set up my routine of say like a 3-day, as you understood, like okay, this 3-day practice and then 1 day flow, 3-day practice, 1 day flow, kind of sort of thing. So, what do you know? What works for you?
I know that it would. So basically, the thing is, I try a lot of times that I'm structuring it for the next couple of days, but then again, then I have a couple of days where I just don't have the discipline to do it. Or I come home from work, I'm completely tired, and then I start thinking, should I go for a run or shouldn't I? Am I too tired? But it's on my list, I should do it, but I don't feel it at the moment. And then sometimes I'm just overthinking.
But that's actually a beautiful example what you put out here, because I can totally feel how you're just thinking about those specific moments right now, right? Because those moments, as I am very sure everybody who's listening, watching, they can very much relate. Everybody seems to have this same very issue, right? So you have something that you want to achieve, and if there is nobody behind you slapping your butt and kicking you and telling you do it, like, or give you certain structures, say you go to work and you know that your working time is 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, every day, every week, whatever. So here's the tricky part. If we want to have complete freedom about yourself, like everybody wants to have this kind of feeling of being free and being able to choose and say whatever he or she likes whenever they like and do the way they like, there's this kind of like backside to it, where if we are completely free and completely self-responsible about what we do, we also need to understand the mechanisms that make us function. And as I feel is, for me, is one of the trickiest part in the, I don't know, like, you know it best. I mean, you've been part of this too, in the past maybe year entirely, I've tried to figure out a way of managing my morning routine where I give myself a certain amount of time for each practice that I like to get better at. And so that's the difficult thing about it. I like to be good at a lot of different things. And like, if we can shorten it first off, like trying to reduce it to something simple, and then dedicate a time in the day where we say this day, like say for instance, like brushing your teeth. There's just these 5 minutes in the evening, or I don't know like how often, how long you brush your teeth. But there's this dedicated time to your practice, to whatever ends this practice should then go, which is not movable, which is not, it's not like cancelable. You cannot like decline it, nothing. This time is set fixed and has top priority. And here's the second thing that I want to talk about when it comes to giving myself the time and also the success of doing these routines. I need to prioritize it high enough. And if I feel like I get home from work and I know that usually this should be my time to go for a run, this should be my time for practice, if I feel like if I throw all my priorities overboard as soon as I step into my home, there's no way that I'm ever going to achieve what I want to achieve. Mm-hmm. So basically, after my understanding to this point, if I want to reach a certain goal, and this goal has the necessary importance to me, say for instance, jiu-jitsu black belt. So this has a super important priority to me. There's a couple of others, but I just picked that up at the beginning of this talk, so I want to pick it up again. So this is super important to me. I understand I want to invest a lot into this. If that is so, I need to also prioritize the time that I invest into my practice toward this goal. So the priority, and be it 20 minutes a day, that I invest into getting there should be as high up as possibly, like as brushing my teeth, as going to work, as cleaning up my home. I don't know, like. But
as soon as I question it,
exactly,
it's not the highest priority anymore.
Exactly, because you're not exactly you're not cementing it. Yeah. You're not setting it into stone. You're not saying like, boom, this is what it gets to be, and that's what it happens, right? So here's a difficult thing for me too. Like, I have these days, if I don't structure my day like solidly enough, and like my week and my month, in order to get where I want to go, then I will always crash into my flow state. I will always crash into this kind of mental state where I just feel like, oh Jesus, I just want to flow. I just want to chill out and everything, right? So, okay, all that we have set this idea now, here's the second difficulty. I, for one, know how important it is to be creative. How important it is to just be free and just do however I please in this very moment, as in every other moment too. And so that's the difficulty that I understand at this point, how to manage these two states, because they are one side of my brain, the other side of my brain. They're both super important. I feel if I, like the days where I can just sleep out and just do whatever I like, whatever I please, those are the best days of my week. Mm-hmm. Everybody feels that, but only because the structured part is overweighing the flow part. Mm-hmm. And so they ought to support each other, is what I feel. You need to give yourself, in a structured manner, flow state. Right? That's something that I'm trying. I'm talking about my own practice here. My practice is, I understood I'm a free mind. I really need to flow. I need to try out. I need to be creative. The whole thing. But if I do that excessively, I'm not going to get where I want to get. So I feel it's super important for me that I calculate a certain given time in my schedule for flowing. And that has to be an entire day at like every now and then. Because if I just cut my day in half and say like half a day is flowing, well, that's just cheating. So I need to be given to myself these days where I just completely take off the structure and the schedules, and then know already before this day starts that the next day is going to be structured again. So that I have, like from the very point of where I'm walking, I'm stopping here, I'm going to go and chill out the next day. Okay, I'm going to go sleep. I wake up. Okay, today there's no practice, there's nothing. And I go to sleep again, and I know before I go to sleep, next day is going to be structured again. It's going to be fine. There's no question about it. No second guessing priorities and everything.
But in this case, it's actually like working.
Yeah.
Because you work from Monday to, let's say, Friday, and then there's the weekend. You have the weekend off, and on Sunday already. Okay, I'm gonna go to sleep, and tomorrow there will be work, and there's no question about it.
That's what it is. Mm-hmm. And so here's the tricky part, because for a lot of people, work resembles something bad.
Exactly.
Right? As I'm very sure you learned that, I learned it, that's for sure. I mean, the majority of my working time in my adult life was crap. It was basically, I was always searching for something that feels more fulfilling than what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So here's the tricky part. If I go to work and I feel shit about my work, then I am learning that the majority of the time that I am investing is cutting myself into pieces, cutting off the feeling, right, mm-hmm. of being flow and being free. So we need to reinvent the idea of structure in a good way. We need to invent it in a manner where we have a good balance, right? Where we feel, okay, it is super important for me to have a structure, because otherwise I'm just flowing the bits. But then again, I also need this time off where I can just completely be spontaneous and do whatever I like, but in a balanced out manner, like in a way of me feeling successful at what I do, and in me feeling free in what I do. So that's a little bit something about this topic. And when I announced this idea today, when it comes to the principle of my habits getting in my way, that's basically when my habit, for instance, I'm feeling the need of breaking free, right? So I wake up in the morning, my goal is to lose 10 kgs of weight in the next 2 months, and I just feel like I am pressuring myself. There's too much structure. Then I need to break free of that, and breaking free of that is the way how I do it is I just go to the fridge and just kill it, whatever's in there. So here's that's the tricky part, where we need to be our own parents, like teach ourselves to get this free state, to get this freedom, and then on the other hand also give ourselves kind of like the structure necessary in order to achieve what we want.
And I think the important thing is to be patient with yourself.
Oh, very much so, absolutely.
Because if you're really too strict, when you say the example with to be your own parents, if you're not patient with the child, you're gonna get crazy, and the child's gonna get crazy, and
absolutely.
So you need to.
And this turning wheel is never gonna end, right? So for me, the tricky part is being patient and being compassionate toward myself, and say like, yeah, okay, I understand that you want so much. I understand that you're passionate about so many different things, but give yourself the time and the understanding that you're failing, and that you don't have to be the way how your neighbor is, like the way how your next man is. You have to be whatever you feel like being, and then structure that and give yourself flow, right? Just let it go the way you really personally feel it. And that can be that you're going like for 4 days flow and then 2 days practice. I mean, nobody tells us really, and that's the difficulty of our time, I feel. So yeah, that was a little bit breaking down some ideas toward that subject. I've been asked about this topic from a lot of different angles, so I really felt like targeting this today in this little chat. I really thank you for having been here today. I really appreciate the talks to you. I really hope that you guys could take a little bit away from this talk. If there's questions, if there's comments, ideas, something that you want me to talk about, shoot, and we're gonna look at it. Okay, guys, see you next time. Bye bye.